Heart of Steel Part 2 finished off a full-on science fiction robot story that fit in well with the usually more grounded Batman the Animated Series. There's a lot of well-executed action sequences that go pretty far with the destruction of some of these duplicates. Plus, Barbara Gordon is heavily involved in saving the day, and we get this scene.
Please let go of my cape.
Perfection. Continuing from where Part 1 left us, Batman is being attacked by the Hardak-controlled tech in the Batcave. He's able to escape immediate danger and tries to trace the source of where the uplinked computer is located. However, Hardak cuts off its location before Batman can find it. Meanwhile, Carl Rossum attempts to shut down his creation when Hardak incapacitates him, pledging to carry out a larger-scale version of his original plan. Barbara Gordon soon calls for Batman's help in her suspicion that the entity currently calling himself Jim Gordon is not actually her father. Unsatisfied with sitting on the sidelines, she decides to investigate Cybertron Industries herself, just as Bruce Wayne finds himself at the center of what Mayor Hill calls a very exclusive new club. I think the most distinct aspect to this episode is how fun killing these robots are. The production team freely admitted in the commentary that they were able to go much further than usual with the imagery shown. The simple defense was that even though they look like humans, they're just machines. The first death, showing Duplicant Bullock's demise, let us know we were going to be seeing a bit more than usual. I love it. At this point in the story, we were pretty sure, but it wasn't yet confirmed that Bullock was a duplicate, so seeing Barbara cry there lent some credence to the moment. Pretty much everything else I want to talk about here goes into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen this one and it sounds interesting, that's because it is, and you should. There are no huge twists or anything, but just in case, this is your spoiler warning. Continuing with the destruction of these duplicates, Batman cuts an elevator cable that demolishes a handful of them. They drop all the way to the basement before we see their mangled wreckage and a steel skull with a loose eyeball fall out of the open doors. The duplicate of Rossum himself is blown to smithereens by that powerful-looking taser Randa carries around. The scream we hear there is pretty intense. Ouch! Gordon's duplicate is also blown up a second later, but we see his robot skeleton land, artificial flesh still attached to its face. Randa is dispatched sort of Terminator style with an elevator completely crushing her. The added detail of her neck tilting was especially twisted. Hardak explodes after its core systems are damaged, and these two neat-looking trash can robots are taken out when Batman plants a pair of batarangs in their heads. They were introduced when Barbara sneaks into Cybertron Industries and start off as almost Star Wars droid-looking spy bots before making their transformation. The production team also made it a point for the duplicates in this episode to come off increasingly creepy. The red eyes is a classic, but having them unnaturally walk on all fours and turn their heads 360 degrees took it to the next level. My favorite shot, though, is probably when the damaged Marilyn Monroe-inspired Randa directly attacks Batman. So good! Batman's reaction is awesome, and the music plays that moment up even more. The sequence where the humans are revealed to be alive in a submersion tank also added to this episode's welcomed surreality. Plus, the animation is taken up a notch from the previous installment, which helped raise these moments to a higher level. Besides all the mechanical destruction, there is a bit of a brutal-looking human injury when the released and already hurt Commissioner Gordon is shot in the head by a laser from that little yellow robot. This one isn't destroyed though, as Rossum shuts it down, even carrying it out of the flaming building. Seeing Barbara Gordon take an active role in the story so early on in her appearances worked to this episode's advantage. It effectively foreshadowed her role as Batgirl.
A police commissioner's daughter doesn't get all her education in school.
I'm getting too old for this kind of stuff.
I sort of enjoyed it.
A lot of this was the work of writer Brynne Stevens. In the audio commentary, director Kevin Altieri mentions how much he looked forward to working with her.
Well, Brynne Stevens wrote this. What I like about her is she gave like this real female take, you know, she always liked creating like these female characters. And even though she would do science fiction, she always like did things with a lot of heart. And I thought, you know, like Brynne Stevens, Heart of Steel, when I first saw the script, I said, This is gonna be good.
The commentary also gives some interesting perspective on how much producers Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski gave their directors and storyboard artists leeway to take a few liberties with the scripts.
We gave the directors and the board guys the option of going off script if they felt they really needed to make the show more cinematic or to restage a fight scene or whatever.
Yeah.
We actually depended on the board guys and the directors to plus the shows whenever possible. We didn't insist that they stick exactly to, every word of the script.
Whenever these commentary tracks are available, they always provide excellent insight on the creative process, like the fact that the Carl Rossum character was named after the Russian play RUR, Rossum's Universal Robots, which introduced the term robot into science fiction and language itself. The heart, no pun intended, of this episode is a little bit underplayed. Bruce mentions in Part 1 that Rossum's daughter died a few years prior, which sent him into seclusion. Part 2 has just a single line from Rossum on that subject, but later, Hardak explains his maker's motivations more clearly.
The plan was conceived by Carl Rossum when his young daughter was deactivated. A vehicular accident. Afterwards, he decided to find a way to replace humans whose decisions can cost other human lives.
I think this may have been a bit of a missed opportunity. There is no shortage of tragic villains in this show, but Carl Rossum isn't one of them. He created Hardak with an ill-conceived intention, but he quickly righted himself when his creation was taking things out of hand. Delving more into Rossum's background with his daughter and maybe making him a tad more misguided in his pursuit of the original goal could have made for an antagonist on par with the tragic origins of Two-Face and Mr. Freeze. Instead, all those qualities are channeled into Hardak. It's different, which is why I like these episodes, but we may have gotten a more emotional story underneath the steel and wiring if they had gone down that route. Originally, a Batman duplicate was to appear in the climax, but they ran out of time. However, the production team loved the idea so much that they gave that concept its own episode called His Silicon Soul, which we'll talk about at the end of this year's Batman. If you can't tell already, this is a big-time recommendation from me. Check it out for another genre that this show pulled off flawlessly.